Hello, everybody. Welcome to another CodeBuddy webinar. Today, I'm going to be diving deep into the project planning portion of Ride. Of course, within Ride, you can plan, build, and publish your app, but I kind of want to do a deep dive today into the planning portion, show you some tips, tricks, things that I've been learning over the last couple months of using the platform in its current state, and I'm really excited to show you all that it can do. So first things first, you can download Ride for free at www.codebuddy.com. And from there, you get free sign up and you get $10 in AI credits once you sign up. Once you create your account, you'll be able to create your workspace. From here, you'll be able to invite other users to help better collaborate. We've really tried to design Ride to be your ultimate collaboration space between people who are developers and those who, on the project who are not, especially if you're a non-technical founder, the ability to build better with your team or be able to bring on somebody such as a CodeBuddy is extremely beneficial. The other thing is, I mentioned the $10 in free AI credits. We are completely a pay-as-you-go model, so you do not pay for things you do not use. Anytime you enlist the CodeBuddy into your project, whether that's the AI to plan or build something for you or a human CodeBuddy, that's the only time you have to actually pay anything to use the app. From here, let's get started. So in your workspace, you have the ability to create a new project. I have a little sample project here we're going to call WonderWise, which is an intelligent travel planner. So I have a little summary here that I have loaded up. So WonderWise is an AI travel planner that builds personalized day-by-day trip itineraries in seconds, taking into account your interest and logistics so you can explore new destinations without the stress of planning. All right, so now we're taken to the home screen. As I mentioned before, you have the ability to plan, build, and publish your software within Ride. But today we're just going to start, as you always would, with the planning. So from here, you're going to be introduced to your CodeBuddy AI companion. They're going to be helping you in really understanding exactly what is this app going to be including and putting it into a plan then that a developer, whether that be yourself, your team members, or a CodeBuddy, can then build for you. From here, you have your workflows, including a little sample one showing you like kind of an overview, user stories, acceptance criteria that it'll be breaking it down into. We also have user types. So if you have like basic users, things like managers, admins, free users versus paid users, you can kind of define all of those here. We also have our definitions. So every project will have unique terminology that is specific to it. So what's great about that is by defining it, everyone who comes into the project and works on it understands when you actually mean X, Y, or Z. So everyone's in that same page and you don't have the confusion that can lead to by people just assuming, oh yeah, I know what you mean when you say like they take an action or something like that. And then we have our resources. So these are external things outside of what may run locally on your machine as you're building that you would connect to. So of course, things like your Supabase, if you use any AI, such as like a OpenAI or Anthropic, Claude API, if you want to include payments, things like Stripe, all those can be defined in your resources tabs here. So to get things kicked off, my CodeBuddy here is just asking me to, get some of the basics on what we want to do. But I have preloaded just to save us a little bit of details, copy pasted so we don't have to spend a bunch of time typing it all out. So here's just a base summary of what's included. It's Martell app, shows its interests, its trip, everything here. And what's great is you can upload documents. If you have like things kind of planned out, let's say that you were going through a hackathon and you really went through and kind of came up with a project plan, or you have things that you've worked through with others, you can get there. And then what's great is that it's going to then ask much more accurate diagnostic questions to then break those down into the plan that we need to start building it. So, all right. So, thanks for painting such a vivid picture of WonderWise. This really helps. From your description, I noticed a few concepts and steps that will follow to seem core to how the app works. Let's break that down so I understand them correctly. First, I caught the key terms and unique that are unique to WonderWise work, like itinerary and preference and interest. The way it merged groups of members, like the joint plan. Just to clarify, when you mean an itinerary, are you describing a day-by-day plan? Each time block has suggested location resident. And should we define it as that? So again, here it's making sure that once it puts something into the definitions, it's exactly what I intend it to be. Because from there, the AI, as well as anyone else who's going to be working in the project, is going to be going off of that. So we want to kind of build this foundation of like, okay, what is exactly in my head? I want to define that specifically so we can continue to get it out of there. So I'm going to say, yep, itinerary means that. Also, I heard about how user input their destinations, dates, groups, and interests. Is this a first step the user takes, basically filling out like a trip questionnaire before Wonderwise builds their personalized plan? Can you walk me through how they would typically do that? That's a great question. So I picture they have the ability when they first come in that it's similar. Actually, I don't know. Let's have the AI choose on this one. Why don't you tell me what is the best user experience? So one thing I like to do, and this is a tip I always tell everybody as well, is don't be super prescriptive in how you come up with this stuff because you might have a rigid outline, but by again thinking of the AI as like a contributor with this, you can get its suggestions and then build off of that. So you're like, okay, actually I don't like the way that it's coming around. Let's tweak it. But you're not limiting yourself to a narrow focus. You're kind of taking the expertise that the system has in app building and user experience and all these things and really playing off of it as a collaborator rather than just a word processor, for example. So here's a walkthrough of an ideal trips setup experience for Wonderflies, focusing on making it smooth and enjoyable for all types of travelers, not those that are just techie. Here's how it might feel. So we have a welcome and trip creation. We have destinations and dates where they'll ask where you're going, wherever you might be. They'll ask who's coming, interests and preferences, special requests and constraints, and review and start planning. And then if there's groups, there's a preference collection. So for a group trip and others who are invited, they can get their own welcome link and specific things. These are designed to merge. Then these are merged by the AI. Perfect. This sounds great. Let's do it. Again, if there was something within the structure that I'm like, actually, I want to refine it here, you can simply just tell it to do that and it'll go through. But now we have our first kind of commitment to our plan. So we've updated the definitions. So we have defined exactly what an itinerary is, what a trip is, what an interest is, and what a constraint may be. Again, so everyone here in the project has that right and accessible to them. So when you're having conversations about future planning, when you're talking about the user experience, when you're talking with others, there's no confusion in kind of what someone means. There's no like language barrier kind of going through it. All right, so it's added those. I've just defined them. Next, we can move step by step through this the workflow as described, starting with planning a trip. Shall we start by describing the high level overview, or would you like to dive deep in the program? You let's start with number one. So it has them listed. Might as well go in order. My brain works that way. And one thing you can do too is when you build software, you can be very agile. You can build it as needed. But if you also like to think very linearly, is that the right way? Linearly? I don't know. If you think very linearly, you'll be able to kind of build in a waterfall method where you can move from beginning to end. There's no wrong way of approaching it, which is fantastic. There's just you building, which is what's great. So from here we have our workflow suggested. So trip creation and preference gathering, guides used through the process of creating a new trip, specific trip details, destinations, group size, and collecting preferences and constraints from all participants there. And then we have a series of user stories. So this is kind of how you're going to be walking through within the app, as well as acceptance criteria. So I know that this is successful because users will be able to select a destination within the app via a search or a map, and users can start and end dates of the trip. We want to be very specific as we go through these things because again, this is the plan that we're going to be taking to be building that. Again, whether we're building it ourselves, whether we have a team of developers already there or a technical co-founder to build with, you're specifically dictating what you're looking for. And most importantly, if you're going to bring in an outside person that you're going to be paying, such as a code buddy or a freelancer, you want to really be specific in what you're hiring them to do, because then you're not wasting time, money, effort, confusion, and frustration. This just makes the whole experience a lot better. So these look great here. I'm going to accept those changes. And then great. So now when we go to our workflows tab, here is our new workflow. And then what we would have the ability to do is go through and start planning tasks. We want to start building that now. But again, for this video, I really want to kind of focus on the planning portion. So let's continue on this list of like, all right, let's go to number two. And I'll just show you how quickly and effectively you're able to do each of these things to really, again, get an idea onto paper, metaphorically here, within the app, and start uh, really kind of getting that vision and that plan of what this app could be. Could you walk me through how you like them? I'm just, again, for sake of this demo, let's have you choose. I like to do this even if I have a very like specific plan in mind. I like to kind of probe the AI to just kind of give me suggestions on these different things, and then from there I can refine. Rather than me just spending paragraph upon paragraph, I can like go through and then change these. But again, there's no right or wrong way of doing that. You can say, hey, yeah, actually use this document for this program because I've kind of mapped it all out. Or you can just think very like, oh yeah, this is exactly how I want it to be and have it do it that way. Again, I like to just kind of like vibe with it. And there's kind of a big difference. And there's a lot of platforms that are vibe coding platforms, but those, have the like constraints of where it's like a really good proof of concept, but it's not necessarily something you would want to like rely your business on potentially without a lot of things. What we do is we're kind of the anti that when it comes to the coding, but when it comes to getting the ideas extracted out of your head, it really does come like a little bit more vibey, which is great. Here's where it wants to be: loading screens, interactive itinerary overview map. So let's say perfect. All right, so here's our itinerary generation review. We'll accept that. Now we're going to move on to map and day switcher. All right, it's going to ask me for more. You choose. But again, when it keeps asking these probing questions, it really is just dictating to make sure that it is exactly what you want. And then if there is things where you just generally don't care, because there's a lot of part of software that need to be there, like, okay, there's a contact page and a support page. You can just run it as like, okay, I want this to be as standard and familiar as possible and not have to just be explicitly like going through. But what is unique about your app where your domain expertise really comes in, that's when you can be super prescriptive to the AI and then have it go through exactly as you want. So again, it's kind of that give and take through the relationship that you'll have in kind of building these plans, which is really cool. From here, so we have the map day switcher. Let's go to expandable details. And one thing that I talk to people a lot as they're using this is you don't have to worry necessarily about like spelling things correctly and grammar. What's great about large language models is they understand a lot better. So you can just kind of be a little bit more free flowy and not have to worry about like, oh yeah, like oh, this colon shouldn't be there, or like, oh, I should misspell this word slightly, or oh, I should be putting in a comma. All those things just kind of just go through because it's pretty amazing. Let's do it. All right, so there's the workflow for that. Let's go back up. We got our expandable details. We got our immediate feedback and tweaking. All right. So now it's going to be suggesting these. And again, as it gets more and more context through the conversation and through what we have within our workflows, it's going to already know the answers to a lot of questions. But again, at any point, if you're like, actually, I accepted that, but now I want it to be a little different, you can just ask it to make the change and it will do so. So let's do regenerate, refresh. And then what's our last one? Is just share and collaborate for groups. Perfect. So we got that one for itinerary regeneration and refresh. Let's do the final. Share for group. Let's make sure that it has everything it needs. Yep, perfect. All right, great. So now we have kind of based off his suggestions, like kind of what we're wanting for apps, but let's ask the AI, like, what am I not thinking about? So now that we have good amount of workflows for this app, what features am I missing? What is crucial for an app like this that I haven't accounted for? So this is one of the tips that I love to tell people. I'm like, okay, have the AI like probe your work, like have it think about like kind of play devil's advocate and go through and just think it in bigger pictures of like what could be possible. So exactly it came up here. Here is 9 things that I should be thinking about. Booking and reservation integration. That could be cool in the future. I don't want to do it now. Offline access. Cool. Don't want to do it now. Smart notifications and reminders. That's a good idea. In trip adjustments. Ooh, that one's pretty good. So if things change up, like I want to add that one for sure. Travel logistics and support, user profile and travel history. That one seems important. Feedback, absolutely. Accessibility. So let's say I want to add these. I want this and user profile and history and feedback and review collection. And let's also do the emergency and safety info. All right, so here's the first one for in-trip adjustments. Now we have our user profile and travel history. There's our feedback and review collection. And finally, our emergency and safety info. Course, I should be going through and reading all these as I would because this is going to be an app for my business. If there was any suggestions here that I didn't quite like, I can again request revisions. I can have it expand on that. Let's ask it to do that. Can you expand on this to make sure that it does the best possible job for our users? So I'm gonna go through and have it just be a little bit more to it because again, I felt like that's important and maybe it's missing a few things. So here we go. So here's a comprehensive list of it. That's perfect. Because maybe in this app, I really want to push, like, oh, these safety features. And, we know that traveling's scary, especially if you're going someplace you don't know, like you're going out into the woods or different things like that. So from here, you're able to really kind of play off that thing. So if we like that angle, we can go with it. Right. And here it is, much more expanded. So we know those things. That's going to be a key part of my app. And then from here, so what I would like to do is I want the AI to analyze, because again, this is a lot. This is a pretty big app. So perhaps that's going to be too much for an MVP. So let's go back in. I would like you to analyze my workflows and offer suggestions on what may not be important for an MVP and help me to streamline the app. So let's go from there and let's kind of see what it suggests. So again, we've talked about just some of the tricks that you can do is like rather than just dictating it and using it as a word pad, you're really collaborating with the AI. You can have it remove workflows, you can have it adjust workflows, and then this time we're going to have it analyze everything to see what would be good here. So we go, that's a great approach. So we're streamlining. Let's do a step by step. Summarize the workflows. Here's a high level. Here's my initial take, help users plan personalized trips. So what's most essential is account profile management, trip itinerary, trip creation, and they're followed closely by this four. So if we're wanting to plan like which ones do I want to build, like I would choose these four to start with, and then later on we can add to these. So we don't necessarily need to delete them, but we can just prioritize and plan exactly which ones we want. And I can say like, I would like you to take a high level view of all of the workflows and see if there is anything we can do that would make the user experience better and the app more appealing to users. All right, so here we go. High level observations, current flow, many users there, trip creation, click destinations, opportunity of more natural conversation, so we can guide users more visually. So yeah, let's do all this. So let's update based off this plan. And so then instead of me having to go through and manually edit, we're going to be having the AI do that. So before it does so, here's the approach. All right. And so it's going to be updating based off of those things. So we're going to accept those changes. And then we can go through step by step on each of these. Again, for the sake of the event demo here, I'm not going to go through all of them because that doesn't seem that exciting. But what's great is, again, this is a living document. So I can kind of adjust and go through, and then everyone who is in the project with me kind of knows where we're at with it. From here, where we would go is we would start planning the development tasks to do so. Again, if you are a full stack developer, you could build it yourself. If you have a team of developers already, you can add them here to this project and be able to collaborate with them and have them start planning. Or you can hire CodeBuddy to build it for you. So you can reach out, add in CodeBuddy here, and we will be able to provide you a free quote on what it would look like if CodeBuddy was to build this app. You can use us as much as or as little as possible. So you could be like, I just want you to do this one workflow for me, or I want you to do these four, like for what was suggested in the MVP, or what would it cost to do everything listed here? And we'd be able to provide you the pricing and everything accordingly with it, which is really fantastic and not a long, drawn out process that can happen when you're working again with freelancers or with development shops or traditional methods of building software because everything's all included within Ride and everything is built around collaboration. So we try to make it as easy and effective as possible. From here as well, we can ask the AI to do summaries for us. We can have it export in Markdown language, which is great. Create me a Markdown overview of this app and all of the workflows and other details included. All right, and then here we go. So what we have is a full summary. I can just copy this into, my word processor or any place I want so I can start thinking about it. I have my personal travel planner. We have our user types, our resources, our core concepts. I could have, if I was thinking about like how we incorporate payments or what AI models are we going to want to use, I could have dived down into those. And from here, here's our core workflows. Here is a quick visualization of the journey flow, which is really cool. So they can try it now. They can do a sample trip, sign up. Here's an easy trip creation. Here's your itinerary magic AI. Here's how we can tweak, customize, and collaborate. Here's how we can adjust during the trip. Here's how we can leave feedback. It kind of gives us a nice like visual representation. Also talks about our product experience principles. So it's inspire before registration. Let's have fun conversational planning. Let's be mobile first. What is great is all the applications built into via Ride are web apps, so you can run them as progressive web apps and not have to worry about dealing with the fun issues of the app stores, but just get them in front of users as quickly as possible to start validating those ideas, understanding what are they resonating with, and quickly iterate and build and go through. The other thing that you can do, as I mentioned before, is like you can start building here, you start getting user feedback, pop that user feedback in via the documents upload here, and then have the AI work with it to understand, like, okay, based off this feedback, how can we refine these workflows? How can we make the experience better? And just really collaborate with it to make sure that it's you're feeding the big plan and having it to be right. So that's kind of the high level from Ride. Again, from here, you could be able to build it, you'd be able to publish it, and then I like to think of it as a big flywheel where then you can start changing the plan based off of real world data, really good knowledge, and be able to then build and keep publishing and have that software velocity that you need to have a successful startup or to have a really successful app within your company. So that is Ride. That's our detailed planning of software. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like it. And we run these webinars every Tuesday, so you can sign up on our website at codebuddy.com. While you're there, if you haven't already, do download Ride. You can download it completely for free. You sign up for free and get your $10 in free AI credits to get you started, which is roughly around 6 to 8 hours of planning and building. So you get the ability to do a lot of different things. And then when you've got your plan, you're ready to go, do reach out to see about having a CodeBuddy build it for you. It's a great process to have really good quality software done for you right, and you don't have all the potential issues that come with the vibe coding that I mentioned beforehand. All right, from there, we will see everybody next time. Bye bye.